The rain had only just stopped when Ethan Blackwood, one of the most powerful millionaires in the city, stepped out of his chauffeur-driven car with his fiancée, Isabella. The wet pavement glistened under the streetlights, the scent of damp stone and faint exhaust lingering in the air. They had just left an exclusive charity dinner, the kind where crystal glasses clinked and laughter sounded polite but hollow, when Isabella suddenly froze mid-step. Her hand shot out, pointing toward the shadowed wall of a narrow street. There, crouched against the cold bricks, was a boy so thin that his bones seemed to press against his pale skin like fragile branches beneath the bark. His ribs rose and fell in shallow breaths, his bare feet tucked under him, as though to keep what little warmth he had from escaping. But it wasn't just the boy's frailty that stunned Isabella. It was his eyes, those familiar deep brown eyes that mirrored a face Ethan had not seen in nearly 10 years. Her voice trembled, soft yet cutting through the hum of the city like a blade. "He looks like your lost son. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of helping others when they need it most, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need hope today, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Kindness Corner to support more stories that remind us of the humanity we all share." Ethan's steps faltered. He didn't want to look. He had trained himself over the years to avoid faces that might hurt him. His son, Daniel, had been only 6 years old when the kidnapping happened. A single moment of distraction at a park, a blur of strangers, and then nothing. For years, Ethan had thrown his fortune, his influence, and his soul into finding the boy, but every lead ended in heartbreak. Eventually, his friends told him to move on. His first marriage had crumbled under the weight of grief. He had locked his pain behind polished walls, building an empire as if wealth could shield him from memories. But now, standing on the damp city street, that wall cracked. The boy didn't just look like Daniel. He looked like a ghost of him, starved and stripped of childhood, clinging to life with eyes that had seen far too much. Isabella's hand pressed lightly to Ethan's arm, urging him forward. The boy's knees were pulled up to his chest, his thin arms wrapped around them for warmth. His clothes were nothing more than rags, the seams frayed and dark with stains. The city bustled indifferently around them, suits rushing by, taxi lights flickering, conversations spilling from the nearby cafe. But in that moment, it felt as if the world had narrowed to just the three of them. Ethan swallowed hard, the taste of guilt rising like bile. How many children like this had he walked past over the years, refusing to see? How many could have been saved if someone had just stopped? He took a step closer, his polished shoes sounding too loud against the wet sidewalk. The boy's eyes flickered up, not with hope but with the kind of guarded suspicion that only comes from years of betrayal. Ethan knelt, ignoring the water soaking into his tailored trousers. Up close, he could see a faint scar along the boy's temple, the same place Daniel had been hurt when he was 4, after falling from a swing. His heart pounded painfully in his chest. Could it really be? Or was grief playing its cruel trick again? They took him to a shelter first. Isabella, who had always been composed and graceful, became almost fierce in her care, demanding warm blankets, hot soup, medical checks. The boy barely spoke, only eating enough to keep from fainting. But when Ethan gently asked his name, the boy hesitated before whispering, "Daniel." It was like a blade through the years. That night, Ethan sat by the shelter bed, watching the boy sleep. Every rise and fall of his frail chest felt like a fragile thread tethering the past to the present. The next weeks became a blur of medical visits, child welfare meetings, and cautious conversations. The boy's story, when it finally came in fragments, was a tale of neglect and survival, passed from place to place, abandoned more than once, living on scraps and cold concrete. Whether by miracle or fate, DNA tests confirmed what Ethan's heart already knew: the boy was his son. 10 years of absence collapsed into a single moment when Ethan held Daniel for the first time again, feeling the tiny heartbeat against his chest. But reunion wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a different battle. Daniel didn't know how to sleep in a bed without waking in fear. He didn't know what it meant to have 3 meals a day. He didn't know if kindness could be trusted. Ethan had to learn patience, to rebuild trust one quiet moment at a time. There were nights when Daniel wouldn't speak at all, days when a sudden noise would make him flinch. Isabella stood by them both, sometimes holding Ethan when the weight of guilt was too heavy to carry alone. Months later, the boy who had once been skin and bone was laughing in their garden, chasing the family dog across the grass. His cheeks had filled out, his eyes had light again. Ethan realized that while he couldn't change the years they'd lost, he could make every day ahead count. And perhaps in saving his son, he had also saved himself. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, so more people can hear stories of hope, love, and second chances. Your engagement helps us spread kindness further than you can imagine. Before we end, we have a special request. Comment below with the words, "Kindness can heal," if you believe love can change a life.